Yeah.
Yo, how did you learn video? How did you learn video? How did you learn photo? That's exactly the way that I explained to them the creative process.
Yeah.
That is the creative process. Doing it, failing, or doing it and wishing you got a different shot. Then the next time you go and get that shot, but you got that shot and now you wish you got a different shot.
Literally.
And then you get both of those shots and then you discover a third shot that you wish you got.
Yeah.
And then the next time, and then over and over and over. And then you have all of the shots. You can literally create the video in your head before you even go shoot it. Like I can visualize and edit listening to music.
Yeah.
And then just go execute.
That's fire.
It's a creative process.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome to...
Yeah, you gotta be close to it, bro. Need that proximity effect.
I need to see... Jesus Christ, now I'm short as you.
I got you.
Dang.
I get to the level of the mic.
You gotta get a little bit lower than me. Bitch, you're shorter than me.
Jackson's fucking armrests are above the desk.
Wait, is my torso just...
Short ass.
Shit. Nobody ever told me this.
Fucking cooked.
I'm not doing that. Okay. What is going on, you guys? Welcome to episode 312 of Raw U. Today, we're going to cover the creative process and the masterminds behind the Olympia content. How we went about that, how many shooters we had, what post-production looked like during the event. So that way we were able to provide you guys what seemed to be live updates throughout the day. So I'm going to pass this off to Rob and to Mook to kind of go over their roles and to go over introductions, and then we'll go from there.
Rob?
So basically, do I look at you guys or I look at the
let's just talk.
Okay. So basically, I ran photo video for Bum Energy during the Olympia coverage. We had the two booths, the Raw and the Bum Energy booth. And as far as what I did,
Bro, don't neglect the Vaughn Streets. Quit playing.
Oh, fuck. Let's run that back.
No, keep going. You're good.
All right. We had the Bum Energy Raw booth and the Vaughn Streets portion of our booth. And yeah, we were running photo video the whole time, switching off on who was editing what, and always had something to post, active on social media. So yeah,
We were ripping live edits.
Ripping the live edits for sure.
So I was running YouTube, which that YouTube video is live now. It's the Olympia 2024 recap. So it's a pretty good video.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, I like it.
Sick.
Comments were good about it. But I was running YouTube, and then I was also running Vaughn Street's content, and I was just ripping photos the whole time, editing some reels in between that. And my favorite piece of content from the whole trip was probably the Vaughn Street's edit that I made of like the match cut photos.
Yeah, that was sick.
I loved that.
Yeah.
Just because I think that one took the most amount of time. It was so tedious.
Yeah.
But I loved that piece of content.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was fire.
Yeah. My favorite video was the one you did of Chris.
Oh, that was, it's Chris. It's the Olympia. It's his last year. That was really cool. Pretty cinematic. That took me 10 minutes to edit at the airport.
Yeah, dude. That's what's tough anytime that you're doing content of with Chris, is that we can tell very easily whether or not content is good or not by engagement from our followers, right? So if we're shooting just, a standard athlete, you can have a really great high production value video and your audience will be like, okay, this was fire. Or if you shit the bed in that video and it just doesn't come out to the way that you want it to, according to your creative vision, then your audience will either not engage at all or give you negative feedback. Where when it comes to Chris's content, it's like anything that you put out there, it's just going to get views, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't require as much effort to have as big of an impact as it would if you were just going to edit a normal athlete's content, and you would have to put your all into it in order for it to have, good engagement. So Chris's content is kind of just like always going to be the gold standard for like, okay, this is going to perform well.
Yeah.
So I liked with what we did as a team, we kind of highlighted not only, the top tier athlete. You got Chris. We also had a competitor, Marissa, over there. We had a couple of our athletes that actually worked the booth with us. But we gave shout outs to owners, to the behind the scenes, backbone of this brand, the Ryans, Dan's, Nino's, Joey's, Simon, everybody that really makes this company run. That was at the booth. We were able to shout them out as well as the crowd. So it's pretty cool. Everybody like had their time in the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see like everybody that's a part of the company like be so involved in the booth and all the work that went behind the scenes into doing everything. Like to see Nino handing out bum energies to the people in line, like that's so dope to me. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of respect that goes out to the people that are in higher levels that are still doing like the grind work,
Right.
So
right. Because you never really see that. You don't really often see CEOs that are on the ground, boots on the ground with the rest of the crowd making an impact. And what I think is so cool about these trips is like, not only do I draw inspiration from seeing that our leaders are doing that, but seeing the impact that we have on our community and our fan base, that is so visible at events like this. Like our booth was so crowded. We had lines that wrapped around the side, the back, all the way up to like the Celsius booth at one point. I did a gimbal shot of it. I mean, there's hundreds of people in this line. And it was like that all day long on the first day until we ran out of products on the second day, and then it died out. But like there was constant traction all day long. Like we were the booth to be at.
Yeah, for sure.
And one thing I think about when I'm at events like this is I remember back when I lived in Ohio and I went to the Olympia because it was in my backyard in Columbus. And I was there one day taking pictures with other athletes and not thinking for a second that I would ever be, in charge of creating content for one of these booths, especially like raw nutrition.
Yeah.
Never in my life did I ever think that I would be like behind the scenes making it all happen. And then people are coming to our booth excited to see our booth and take pictures with our athletes and everything.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to be on this side of it now because I was a fan and I still am a fan. But back when I was a fan, I never thought that I'd be here doing what I do now.
Absolutely, man.
Pretty
We had like
full
that,
circle.
We had a couple like we made it moments
Literally.
in Olympia. Like one of them was like after we were actually like walking back on the first day of the event. Just remember like going back to the car or to the Ubers and just being like, we didn't even verbalize it. We were like so freaking exhausted. But then you look at the page and you look at the stories and it's just like, bro, like so much goes into this. There's so many moving parts and it requires such high level communication to make all of this happen.
Yeah.
Such work ethic to make all of this happen. But more than anything, it's very important to have a very close knit, tight team that all understand one another. And none of us want to let each other down.
Yeah.
Because the thing is with like Raw, we run with a very, very tight group. With that being said, if somebody is overcompensating, do a ton of work, it's so easily noticeable. But the opposite is true as well. So it's like, okay, for my boys, I have to freaking put on as much as I'm asking for them.
Yeah.
So I can't just be sitting there barking out orders. Honestly, no leadership should ever be like that at all. But you also have to be setting the example. And I think that's very much what the owners did with actually being boots on the ground and meeting and collaborating with fans.
Yeah, leading from the front. And shout out to everybody back at the HQ that was doing all the behind the scenes work, actually posting the content, making sure they're engaging with all the fans on social media, responding to comments. Like that never goes unnoticed either. So,
no, dude.
Absolutely.
Hunter, Gemma, Brandon, you guys all did an incredible job. It was awesome to have that. And I think like there's a reason why the military that we have is as effective as it is and as impactful as it is because there's so many behind the scenes workers that are making sure that we cross the T's and dot the I's.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're shooting assets, we're editing assets, and then we send it over. And they have to take care of the rest of the details. Like I did the grid post for Raw, but everything that was Bum and Vaughn, everything that was like on the stories outside of the things that we were putting up immediately, like all of those were strategized and planned out by Hunter and his team.
Yeah.
And they were with us like every hour of the day, even on the weekend.
Yeah.
Like they were like, honestly, like there was never a text that went unanswered for like more than 2 minutes.
And not to mention they're 3 hours ahead.
Yeah. It was, that's right. It was late as hell over here.
Yeah.
Dang. No,
Yeah.
but very successful event all in
It was.
all. I think anytime that you go through any event like that, especially with newer teams, it's even if you're a perfectionist, it does you a disservice to be hypercritical of anything. And like you can look back at posts and be like, well, maybe that one didn't belong in the carousel, or maybe this shouldn't have got posted on the story. And it kind of takes away from the experience as a whole, because we grow together as a team by like reaching in understanding that we have a quality of work that we want to put out and provide to our consumers, and it's up to all of us to raise that bar and balance that bar, right? So it's slowly going up, and the more familiar we get with one another as a team, the more that bar will raise evenly, and it'll raise at a good pace.
Mhm.
So I think giving yourself flowers in moments like that and recognizing the hard work that went into it and seeing that is just like, shit, I did that. Like we did that. Like
Yeah.
that's huge, because you learn from those things. And even if you look back and you have qualms about things that you posted, you just know next time it's like, all right, we can do a little bit better. Like the flat lays today, for instance, it's like, okay, put a little bit more time and attention to it. Let's get the size and let's get the dimensions right. And then next time this won't happen.
Yeah.
See, like you have to make mistakes in order to understand that mistakes will pop up in the future, and you recognize it because you've already made those mistakes in the past, and then you avoid those mistakes.
Yeah. And not getting stuck in trying to make everything so perfect either, because the amount of time it takes to try to make something perfect, like you could have put out so much other pieces of content,
Yeah.
and you're going to learn from every piece of content you put out. Like there hasn't been one video that I've done that I haven't taken something away and improved on my next video. And then that video, I improved that, but then I noticed something else. And so by the time you put out 30 pieces of content, your 31st is going to be way better than everything else that you put out, you know?
Right.
So it's just like something that you just keep building on. There's never going to be, I need this to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. You know?
100%.
That's the creative process.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've explained exactly that to people people ask you,
Yeah.
yo, how did you learn video? How did you learn video? How did you learn photo? That's exactly the way that I explain to them the creative process.
Yeah.
That is the creative process. Doing it, failing, or doing it and wishing you got a different shot. Then the next time you go and get that shot, but you got that shot and now you wish you got a different shot.
Literally.
And then you get both of those shots, and then you discover a third shot that you wish you got.
Yeah.
And then the next time, and then over and over and over. And then you have all of the shots. You can literally create the video in your head before you even go shoot it. Like I can visualize and edit listening to music.
Yeah.
And then just go execute.
That's fire.
It's a creative process.
That's another thing, dude. When I was shooting video during the Olympia, I would put one headphone in, and I would listen to the song that I'm going to edit to and post.
Mm-hmm.
So like for us, we were keeping with the Hangover soundtrack for like the
Yeah.
first couple of days we were posting when we were in Vegas. And I would just put on like that exact same song, and I would think of transitions for a beat hit. I'd think of transitions for a chorus, like this, that, and the third, while I'm actually out there filming. It made it so much more enjoyable. It's my first time I ever did that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so sick, because for me, everything in post-production always starts off with audio, right? So if I'm going to do, even if it's a talking head piece, I'm going to get the atmosphere soundtrack first, and I'm going to put that over, and I'm going to look for cuts based on the hits of the beat. So I'm like, all right, what if I actually shoot to this?
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty freaking cool, and it's going to take a hell of a lot more like tweaking to get it completely right. But I really freaking enjoyed that. I also love taking photos, listening to music. I don't know about you guys, like
Me too.
studio shoots and stuff.
Yeah,
they're fun.
100%. It's cool. Whenever you discover and learn how much the music that you use in your video affects the way that the video feels in the overall outcome of the video, once you learn that, like I feel like that's when you like level up as a creator.
100%.
Like I freaking love music, and I think music is art. I forget who said that. Somebody said that not too long ago, but they said music is art. Who was it? I think it was somebody in his office.
I mean, I talk about it a lot. I talked about it last week a lot. I talked about it in Vegas a lot.
Okay, I think it was you.
I think it's like literally.
Yeah,
like,
you said how much you love music.
Yeah,
and it's like music
I think it's
and
the
video goes
greatest
so well
like
together.
form of creativity.
Yes.
To be completely honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same way that people are like they get stage fright or they have to practice public speaking, which I did. I was homeschooled growing up, and I was like very, very awkward, and I couldn't hold a conversation with strangers. I still have like times where I stutter and I'll like lose my train of thought when I'm talking to owners because I just get like intimidated. Or like things that I had gone through as a kid where like I had a really, really hard time talking to people I didn't know very well, like resurface. And then now that I'm conscious of it, I'm getting a little bit better. But I'm saying all that to say this, like speaking, anything that's audible is very vulnerable. It's like we're putting a piece of ourselves out there. So like musicians, they create moods for visuals, right? Like visuals. I mean, how good would the plane video be? The one that you did in Vegas. How good would that be if it didn't have a fire ass fucking sound?
Right.
Yeah.
It wouldn't.
Right.
But like
It
that, like with the plane flying over,
Yeah.
it just did something. Like immediately, it's starting to provoke emotion. So for me, everything starts with audio.
True.
Build
Yeah.
around it.
100%.
And the Chris video too. I told you,
Yeah.
I was like, dude,
Yeah.
that song is fire.
Yeah.
I don't know what song it is,
Dude,
but it's so good.
and I think my style of editing is literally solely based on the music that I personally enjoy listening to.
Yeah.
So like literally all these tracks that I use are tracks that are in my like songs on Spotify.
Yeah.
Really?
So like if you see an edit, there's like a 90% chance it's in my like songs on Spotify.
Yeah.
So
Or just like today, like you like doing a Chris edit to that one piece of the Kendrick song.
yeah, that was fire.
Like thinking of an
Wait,
entire
did
video
you tell him
based
about that?
on a lyric, you know?
Did you tell him
No,
about
I
that?
haven't told him yet.
Dude, tell him right now.
What is it?
So that song Family Ties with
Mhm.
Kendrick, where at the end, he's like, I'm smoking on your top 5 tonight, and just editing like Chris at the Olympia with that. And then
sick.
he says like one daughter, but they're all my sons in this bitch.
Yep. I mean,
He literally has one daughter.
everybody, that is not the way that Chris feels whatsoever. We're just brainstorming. Yeah, what do
We
we
can cut
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
No, we can keep it.
Yeah.
Dude, that would create such a viral clip.
Yeah.
No joke, because nobody's done that.
Oh
If you
my
both
God.
said that, bro.
Chris is like the most humble guy. He's just
Yeah.
nice to everybody too.
Yeah.
So it'd be like,
Literally.
what? No.
On that too, like I remember my first week here, I walk into the marketing room and I see Chris, and I see him out of the corner of my eye, and I feel like he's just tracking me, dude, as I walk into the room. So I'm like, okay, I have to say hi to him. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm Rob. I just started this week. He's like, hey, I'm Chris. And in my mind, obviously I would never say this because I'm just like, dude, I know who you are for sure. You know, I've seen you millions of times. And it was just like, but his humility to be like, I'm Chris, and not feel like, yeah, you should know who I am. You work for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd be
Like,
surprised how many people work,
Every
work in his
encounter I've
office.
had with him is just, he's so humble.
He
Yeah.
disarms people, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like when I was in Alpine, I posted something about Peter Crone. I was listening to a Peter Crone podcast with Nate and Calvin, and Chris had like commented back, and he was just like, "That's my boy Peter Crone." And I'm not sure what their relationship is like, or if Chris really listens to his stuff. But the more I listen to Peter Crone, the more I think that Chris is one of the very few people in my life who has experienced or is in the middle of experiencing complete ego death. I mean that with everything in me, dude.
Yeah.
I could lose all of this tomorrow and Chris freaking hates my guts, but nobody could ever take this away, and I would never deny this. I think he's probably the most humble, like has no idea. Maybe he's conscious of how successful he is, but he sure as hell does not let that get to him. Like
Yeah.
it never got into his head.
Yeah.
As far as I know. I mean, I've known him for like, less than a year now, but dang.
Yeah.
That guy, he's on his own little island, and
Yeah.
he has a way of disarming people like no one I've ever seen in my entire life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My first conversation with him too, it wasn't like my first conversation, it was like my first conversation being on the media team, and he talked to me at the VIP room of the Bum Energy Lift event, or the Gymshark Lift event, where we had the Bum Energy pop up in Miami, and he just had like the most normal human, how's your day going, good work buddy, like getting to know me, wasn't trying to avoid the conversation or walk out of the conversation. He approached me and then just sat there like talking to me. And I'm thinking the whole time, like, I don't want to waste this guy's time. Like, I'm going to act antsy and I'm also getting nervous. But it's like, no, he calmed me, like made everything feel like natural and organic, like he's known me forever. And I think it's one of the very many reasons why he's as successful as he is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I don't even know my first experience with Chris, honestly. I forget. It's probably like sometime with Merck or something.
sometime when we're
Like a couple years ago.
well, we got some questions to dig into from the Instagram boys. So
What I was trying to say is, to your point, you'd be surprised how many people that have came into this office and worked here that actually had no idea who Chris was. And like, I was surprised because I was like, everybody knows Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I've followed the brand. I just started working here this year, July 1st. Literally was my first day. I think it's so dope that I started working on the first of a month.
That's pretty cool.
But I've literally been following you. I followed Jack a few months before I started working here when I saw either Dom or Dan tagged him in a post. Like I just started following
No way.
I started following everybody. Calvin was somebody I followed for a really long time. Chris, Matt, Dom. I met Dom a few years ago. Whole reason why I'm here. But yeah, I mean, I've just been a huge like fan of the brand for such a long time. And it's still like surreal sometimes to just like be walking the halls and just know that I'm like a part of this team is insane.
What was your experience with, you said you knew Dom prior
Yeah.
to you getting a job here. What was your like experience?
So I was working with a different media company that he hired to create content for him back when, he probably doesn't remember this, but I met him when he had his small office in Stewart before he got the location that is Revive now and on Relive.
The one like by Toots and Fruits or whatever.
Yeah. So I met him. I met Eddie. I think it was like the Revive, and then he had that vitamin shop, or not a vitamin shop, but like a supplement store next door that Eddie used to run.
Yep.
I met him then, and I was working with a different company, and he had Dom had hired them to do some videos for a new Revive location he was opening in West Palm. So we filmed that. Back then I was honestly barely holding up a camera. This is like 2017, 2018. And then fast forward to 2020, 2021, he had the bigger building like off US 1 that is Revive now. And that's when I actually like met him, had conversations with him. I met Sammy. I was shooting some apparel stuff that they were releasing at the time. And then he had like offered me a position to come on full time, but I was like about to move to Milwaukee. So it didn't align at that point. But then when I found out I was moving back here, I just reached out again and was like, hey man, do you still got that position? And he was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So
that's what's up.
Yeah.
I think you're one of those people where it's really easy to read your character very early on.
Yeah.
And it's also probably one of the reasons why you've become so impactful so early and you've made such a positive difference in this team is because good character is very easy to spot with this kind of group, where these kinds of groups, like, they've weeded out so many bad candidates. Like you can talk about how, companies have higher turnover than others, but the way that I look at it is like, look at the core group of people that have been there for a long time. And that core group of people, these are people that, whether it's just fathers, husbands, friends, good leaders, mentors, these are people that I greatly respect and I want to be more like. So if they are respecting newcomers I have no idea about, they already see something in that person that, okay, if they already gave them the green, this is a person that you want to sew into. So I, like, from the rip, like, adored Mook. You can easily tell that you guys are hard workers. You have good character. You don't have like these ulterior motives. You know what I mean? And I think this is the kind of job where you don't always know people's intentions coming in. A lot of people could, want to be here to get some sort of clout or to get close to Chris or just to be a part of something really big because they want to ride the wave. But, you know, for myself, for instance, I just love content creation, and I'm a maniac when it comes to work. And I feel
That's the
like
truth.
this is the
Facts.
complete, like, perfect body. Like, I feel like God made that like this kind of job
Yeah.
for somebody like me. And it's like finding like-minded individuals like you guys yourselves. That's hard to come by, dude. You don't find this in the real world. Like,
This is a
at
very
all.
rare job to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very rare job to have.
Yeah.
And rare people are the ones that last.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, it's a rare job to have, and it's also rare to find people that fit in here.
Yeah.
You get me?
There's
Like
a whole culture.
for all of us to click
Yeah.
the way we do, for sure.
Yeah.
I think more than anything is like we're a very like easygoing, easy to get along with group. We're accepting and kind and respectful to everybody that's new here. But the one thing that is like unacceptable, and I think that Dom and Matt and Chris really set this example for us, is lack of work ethic and lack of initiative. And that's where it's like the line's drawn. You could be a freaking pro in every other field, but if you're lacking there, it doesn't matter. Like talent's not going to save your ass.
Yeah.
Skill's not going to save your ass.
Yeah.
It's who's putting the man hours. Like, I don't even know how you guys did what you did at Olympia. Like, I have a whole different level of respect for you. I talked about it with Alyssa like all week. It was incredible to see you guys shine like that. And I think it's very common in the creative field is that these guys are a little bit more laid back. There's less like initiative, less urgency, and people like to let the creative juices and the inspiration flow, where it's like with us, like, screw that. We got to find inspiration.
Yeah.
We got to make this happen. And even if we don't have inspiration, let's go listen to music. Let's do this. Let's do that. And the third, let's just talk it out with one another until we can actually envision something. Like yesterday's shoot, for instance, we had to revise a couple of things.
Yeah.
But we did it. And then like towards like the last 3 scenes, I'm like, it's all starting to come together now. This is good. Like, it was stressful when you're not following a script to a T, but having a team that's able to, be flexible and make changes on the fly, that's freaking huge. And I think that's one of the things that really makes our creative team, unique.
Yeah.
Bro, you want to know what's funny? When I was on the plane ride over to Vegas, I was sitting on the plane, tired, exhausted, not looking forward to a 5-hour long plane ride. And I wasn't inspired at all. And I was just sitting there with my headphones off, just chilling there, not wanting to listen to music, trying to actually take a nap. And I put my headphones on and I started listening to music. And then just the music that I enjoy is obviously at the top of that playlist right now. I turn my music on, start listening to some of my favorite songs. Immediately, I just get super motivated. I'm like, hell yeah, like, let's get it.
Nice.
Like, let's go. I get off the plane, point my camera in the sky, and get that first shot of that plane when I was with you guys.
Yeah. Outside of circus, bro.
Literally
That's
point
a
my
whole
camera
nother.
up, get that shot of that plane, point over, get a shot of the freaking whatever tower that is.
The Space Needle thing.
The airport.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's I don't know what it is. But I just started recording because I was like ready. I was inspired. I was ready to go. But I turned my music. It was literally going back to the music. It was the music.
So sick, dude.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
It's everything.
It's the way that I approached Nick's series too. So when I was filming Pain before Nick and the team, they had to pull out from the Olympia last minute, I would get a good understanding during the shoot of what his mood was that day. Okay, like, is this a more challenging day? Is he bringing up topics that are a little bit more vulnerable? Is he more just in like a bullshit, fun, getting through the grind kind of day? So I would leave the shoot, and on my car ride home from work back to my place, I would pick a song that would like feel the, or like match the mood of the shoot. And then I would go through other songs, like similar songs that I have on Spotify, and I would just scroll and I would just let it go. Like, I would listen to 6 or 7 shitty songs just to find one that I'm like, okay, that's decent, and then keep going. And then I'll be like, that's it. That's the one. Okay, so now I'm going to build the intro around this. And now that I'm inspired and I get to make my cinematic intro, then you match the actual vlogging piece when he's in the gym with an atmospheric sound that is like matching the same kind of mood as the intro song. So it's just like, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, dude, audio not only is a source of inspiration, but it can completely create visions, which is ultimately turn into visuals for the
Yeah.
creators.
Mm-hmm. Rob, how do you,
Audio is a huge percentage of visual.
you're really
Really good
good,
at it.
You're really good at finding dope tracks. Every time he shows me,
bro.
dude,
Chill,
every
bro.
time he shows me an edit,
Chill,
I'm like,
bro.
damn, where'd you find that track? Every single time I'm like, yo, this is hard. Like, where do you find your music? Well, like, actually, where do you find your music?
Artlist.io, not sponsored.
That's
But,
it?
yeah, for real. I just,
Yeah.
I will take literally, there's days where it's like you click on the first song, you're like trash, next, and you're like, damn, that's a banger. And then there's days where you're just going through it. And it
Hour
takes
goes
you
by and you're like
45 minutes to an hour to
nothing?
find one song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's, sometimes it's right in front of you, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But, you know, it just comes from years of creating content and having to find high quality music and things that you feel like are going to connect with the mood, right? Because I think the music sets the mood for sure.
100%.
And so finding something that's going to align with it, you know. But like, for example, that one video I did of Danilo where it was like boom boom, and it was just like I found that audio before I shot the video and I wasn't really sure if I was even going to use it. I'm like, this is like really intense, you know. It sounded like some crazy like Batman montage type music, and I had to do a video. I had to film him in the gym, and he did a session with Eddie where he had like
all the wires
connected, and I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna use that audio now.
Yeah.
And it just looks sick. It looked
It did look
insane.
really cool.
So it just totally matched the vibe. It looked like he was like a science experiment, and that's what the vibe I was getting from that audio. So, but yeah, it just takes time. You got to be patient. Like you can't force it. You can't just rush the process of finding a good song for a video.
Yeah. And I like look back to when I was first starting to create content a long time ago. Like even before Instagram was ever a thing, I started on YouTube. I'd just make like these short films. And when I actually got onto Instagram, I would bring everything into CapCut, just make like the most horrific productions you could possibly imagine, like short films. And I would just be sitting there like screen recording YouTube video after YouTube video to get audios out of it. And then it would like export in like 180 kilobytes or some shit. It was sounding like absolutely terrible because I was doing it on my PSP. And then you guys ever used the PSP. Yeah.
Crazy.
So I would drag that, and then, you know, if it would be like a 3-minute song, it would be like, all right, I gotta make like a 3-minute video. You can't even do this. Like Reels was capped out at like 90 seconds at first. So I'd be like, all right, well, I didn't know how to like cut the audio track and, you know, blend the beginning to the end and actually make it 90 seconds. So I would just like have a hard stop at like 90 seconds and be like in the middle of a lyric, and it would just sound absolutely terrible. Fades to black with audio still rambling. It's like no, it's a very important aspect. I feel like we dug into audio quite a lot. Let's get through some questions, boys, huh?
Let's do it.
All right. So first question. Oh, this is funny. Okay. Let's see. What is work like on a day-to-day basis?
Emails.
Rob, you want to start?
Yeah, let's go from Rob, and then we'll go this way down the table.
Sure. So work on a day-to-day basis. Pull up to the Raw HQ. Got to get a proper dap with all your homies.
You got to get the dap in. It sets the mood.
But no, pretty much, I wouldn't say 90% of the time. I already know what I'm doing that day. You know, we have a lot of work that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So it's like everything is usually pretty planned out. Not to say we don't shoot things the day of, but just organizing, getting your day aligned, figuring out if you're shooting products that day. Are you making content for stories? Are you making content for the grid? Are you working with an athlete? Are you just shooting web photos? You know, so for me, it's just getting dialed in, figuring out what I have to deliver that day. And that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
And about 3 bum energies.
Yeah,
dude, I'm on my third today.
Dude,
Jesus.
seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, I think pull up the HQ, proper dap for sure. I think every time I come to the office, I just walk around and air dap everybody.
Yeah.
After that, I just go say what's up to Jack, sit with Jack, talk to Jack about we just talk about content, talk
Yeah.
about random stuff, and then check my email, see if there's anything that I'm like missing, or see if there's email like the Generation Iron thing.
Yeah.
Just check my email, caught up on that. But sitting down, planning, looking at inspiration, thinking about podcast stuff because podcast stuff never ends. We're doing one a week. Like you said, organizing, making sure my files are all dumped from my SD cards, and then a lot of editing. We're doing 2 YouTube videos a week, one of them being a podcast, one of them being a long form. So between shooting those, editing short Monday motivation reels, just a lot of editing and a lot of shooting. That's really it for me.
Yeah. For me, coming to office. See, when Mook daps you up, he does the thing. You know what I mean? I never get it. When I first met him, I'm like, who's this guy named Michael? Everybody calls Mook. Does a weird dab. We never got the dab right. But again, that's me. Just a little bit more awkward than most people. But or maybe it's Mook. I don't fucking know. But
I think it's me.
yeah. So first things first, you gotta check out correspondence and see exactly what's going on via email and see what's going to be a high priority. So we have a posting schedule that is made a month in advance, and that will go over everything that we need for the basis to cover the basis. So drop photos, what exactly we're going to be releasing for products that month, what products need focus, what retailers need focus, so on and so forth. First, so that's all laid out, and then anything that comes through via email, those are usually high priority tasks that we have to like immediately on the fly, like, all right, let's all get together and do this. Like for instance, the Generation Iron trailer, I had no idea that was coming through today. So it's like, okay, well, we already had this scheduled for 12, so we have to revise a couple things, move this back, so that way that post and the double post also have enough gap in between one another, so they both get their time in the light. So staying on your toes and making sure that the posting calendar and everything on my whiteboard is checked and up to date is very important. But I think one of the most important parts, especially in a leadership role, is collaborating with your team and, making sure that the vibe is good in the office. If somebody's having a difficult day, how can we pitch in and help that person? If somebody is just absolutely on fire, like you're giving them flowers. And, a lot of our creative concepts come from just brainstorming the conversation that we have in the office. So like, for instance, with what we're talking about doing with Von Streets right now, like this was just a talk that I had with Mook after watching an episode of Alice in Borderland the other day. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe that could be something. Let me bounce it off of him. Okay. Then we bounced it off to Vaughn, and then it starts to become like an actual, like more
idea.
concrete plan. So yeah, it's like, being open to variable change, but also solidifying all of the details. So come in, set the mood, open the calendar, make sure that the calendar's checked away, post is good for the day, making sure that any high priority items that are coming through via email are good. And then honestly, it's like getting a pulse check on owners, right? So I feel like the talks we have with Dan and Simon are very important for each and every one of us to get a good idea of how the owners are feeling about things, right? Because there has to be layers in every sort of business. Obviously, they're doing their things up here, and we're the supportive pillars right there. But a good way to make sure that everything is good from the bottom up is to check in with Dan and Simon and get a pulse check and be like, okay, did that shoot go good? What's your feedback on this? And then giving that information over to you guys, like getting the feedback from the apparel drop from Dan today. It's like, that's awesome. It means that you guys freaking killed it. It's awesome. So let's do more of what's good. Let's tweak whatever needs to be tweaked. We're moving on the right path. So yeah, pretty much day to day, stay flexible, but stick to the calendar as much as you can. Question number 2. This is cool. I actually want all of us to answer this. I'm an ambassador and I want to be a sponsored athlete. What tips would you give me? So anybody that you could, give tips to actually get closer into Raw and actually join the team. What do you guys think would be the characteristics to embody that? And then I'll finish off because I was in the athlete manager role, so I can give some like clarity there.
All right, you go, Mook.
Damn.
I don't know how to answer that.
I mean, I've heard Chris and Dom answer this question a couple times, but it's just to become somebody we want to have on the team, become somebody we want to sponsor. So obviously being unapologetically yourself is very important, not putting on like a fake facade and trying to be somebody you're not. Obviously your content needs to align with the content that we are already creating. And I don't really know what else. I think just being yourself, being true to yourself, and creating content that aligns with us is the best way and the quickest route.
Yeah. I mean, bouncing off of what you said, like all of that is true, but I even look at this from my own personal Instagram now, because when brands are considering bringing anybody closer, it's immediately a trust thing, right? We have to trust that this person can get an inch closer to the brand. And what comes with that trust is a lot of responsibility. So your Instagram page is going to be your resume, right? That's your
Portfolio.
first reactions, your portfolio.
Yeah.
So I think it's extraordinarily important for anybody that's interested in becoming an athlete to clean up their feed as much as possible. Make sure that you're cutting the fat, you're cutting the fake followers. If you have any, hopefully you don't, because if you have any, we will know immediately. We have resources and platforms that we use to really get to the bottom of that. So organic engagement is huge. And we also want to see how personable of a person you are. So it's going to be on the page first. We're going to look through the comments and see, how are people reacting with this person? Okay, are they just commenting in emojis? Is this person using comment clubs to get some sort of fake engagement? Or is this person like actually making an impact on their following? So that's a huge thing. We're going to dive deep into that. And then what we do at Raw is we meet face to face, or we'll meet over a webcam, but it has to be a video, and webcam has to turn on. And we want to have a conversation with you, and we want to actually break those barriers, and we want to get to know that person on a more personal level. So character is huge. Having a clean feed, obviously, great engagement. Following is a huge part of it. It's an investment 100%. For a company, right? But we also are really good at telling who's growing. For instance, one of our greatest athletes, I think, that we've signed, and it was like one of my proudest signs that actually Maddie referred him over to me, was Hunter McVeigh. And he started like social media like this year, but when I signed him, he had like 60,000 followers, and the guy's like almost at 200,000 now. Wow. Like consistently growing, doing all sorts of stuff. Like he quit his job. He's like making a full-time living off of social media now. So awesome. It's freaking awesome. So it's like being able to tell if somebody has a promising future in the field. And if they already are established, what's the reputation like? Which everybody knows everybody's reputation on social media.
True. Yeah. The only other thing that I know that is also really important is you have to be somebody that we actually want to hang out with outside of the gym.
Yeah.
That's also very important.
Yeah, you got to be easy to get along with.
Yeah.
I think that's true for anything, right?
Yeah.
You can have like the most badass, hardworking coworker in the world, but if nobody likes them, it's going to create a lot of division, and that can just lead to more and more issues and drama. And I think it's especially true for leadership.
Yeah.
100%. Like Dan is like my older brother, but it's something where it's like, I understand there's parameters here. He's still a leader. He's my boss, and I have to respect that. So it's like, it's not like we can just bullshit with each other to the point of comfortability, but it's also like, I will confide in him if I'm having really, really tough days, and I will confide in him for more, like, not just one reason. It's because he makes me feel comfortable and better even outside of work, but also the feedback that he gives me. I really, really respect what comes out of his mouth, and I know that I'm going to apply it immediately. So I think that's huge. It's like having really cool people to work with is very important. Mm-hmm. And our athletes that we're like good friends with, they also, you know, they're the first ones that come to our mind when we want to do events, we want to do shoots. You know, that's just natural. True. It's not like you're just picking favorites, right? But it kind of, it almost is that way, because why would I go with a complete and total stranger who has the same following as somebody else that I know that I have a great relationship with that maybe I haven't used enough for content. Yeah, like I'm always going to go with the person I have a better relationship with.
Mm-hmm. You have anything you want to add to that?
No, you guys said that perfectly.
So we're at 5:27. How much time we got left?
I don't know. Let me check.
All right. When are the new Raw Nutrition tees dropping? Our next drop, our apparel drop, will be on October 30th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have 2 t-shirts, 1 long sleeve, and 2 hoodies. Mook's actually wearing one of the hoodies. I'm wearing the long sleeve. I actually love this freaking drop.
This is my favorite hoodie.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing nothing.
You got the hat on, buddy.
The black tee.
Forever black tea.
Who's got a closet full of black tees?
Hey, don't hate, appreciate.
What's it like diving into the conceptual decisions that shape events?
That's a Dan question.
That is a Dan question. So we actually have a guy that puts together the booths, everything that goes into ordering the booths, the setups, what it's actually going to look like when it's on the ground. That's our boss, Dan Bella. Yep. He's got probably the most stressful job in this place.
Bro's more famous than some of our athletes.
Yeah, for real. It's dieting with Dan. Dieting with Dan. But
Dan eats.
A lot goes into that, but there is a 360 approach. A lot of that is you guys' work being content and supported by promoting the events on social media. So social media management also goes into that. Then we have people that are actually supplying the events with supplements. That's where people like Taylor and Javi will jump in. And it really is a huge team effort. When it comes to the actual pinpoint, the head of that, it's going to be Dan. So these things are planned very, very far in advance, months in advance. And they take an army to put together to actually become successful. Yeah, because an event with absolutely no promotion and you're just depending on the crowd that's there to like come to the booth. If it didn't have any awareness around it, nobody's gonna show up, dude. Like look at the run club. You think that anybody would show up to our run club if all we had up were just a couple flyers? Like,
no.
I'm sorry, it helps, but there has to be a 360 approach to everything. So marketing is a huge part of that as well.
Yeah. And then, dude, like our booth, like I was at the Olympia last year creating content. Like I was there and the booth was cool. We just had like a box, but I had no idea we had a new booth up until a couple weeks before the Olympia. Like that's how much, like obviously Dan's he's behind the scenes, like doing a lot because the booth this year was insane. Yeah. It was so cool. And the amount of money that went into that, those containers and getting everything there, it's probably not cheap to ship a shipping container. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah,
huge investment. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I think it's very important, and this would be more of Dom, Matt, Dan, Simon to answer this question that I have. I'm just gonna air out, but I'm gonna kind of like give my knowledge of it too. Like when you put tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars into these events, I'm not sure off the top of my head how much they cost. You'll sell, a few $1,000s worth of shirts, and then everybody, just stops by to see the booth. But really what you're also selling as a part of that is you're getting content for the page, which is further promoting the brand. You're also getting all of those eyes in the booth. Yeah. At the expo, which if anybody didn't already know of Raw, now they know because our booth was the booth. Yeah. And anybody that already has a relationship with Raw will now have better respect. Now that they've seen the booth, they see how clean everything runs. They see that like this really was an entire team effort. And it had the CEOs of the brands handing out bum energies, like you said. Nino designs all of our shirts, prints all of our shirts. Like he's out there helping out as well. You have the whole content team. You have people that were coming to volunteer. We had athletes flying in just to volunteer. It's like so much goes into this. Yeah. The outcome of it, as far as being profitable or not, again, I don't know the answer to it, but I think that we get so much out of it that is completely separate from just like what we're selling at the counter, right? Like you're showing face in front of tens of thousands of people, and you're also making tons of social media assets for it too. So you're getting very much a lot of bang for your buck for what you're actually putting into the event. So events are extremely important, but they also give us a chance to collaborate with fans, and that's freaking awesome. Fans of the brand.
That community.
Yeah.
That energy is so infectious, and it makes people want to be a part of what we have going on here.
Yeah. I mean, I left feeling very inspired. I don't know about
me
you
too.
boys.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it definitely helps build like the brand reputation for people, like you said, that have never heard of Raw, people that have never heard of Bum Energy, Vaughn's Treats. And not only that, when you think about, we literally unloaded multiple pallets of Bum Energy, protein RTDs.
Yeah.
We handed out every single one that we brought.
Yeah.
You know, so if you think about just the shipping cost that it took to ship all those pallets of just the product, not including the price of the product that's on the pallets, and to think that we handed all that out for free for people to grow a brand like that's insane.
It's a lot of money,
you know. I think it was really special, really dope. And it was my first Olympia too, so
yeah, my first Olympia.
It's a great start.
Yeah, first of many.
It was awesome, dude. I remember so right after Chris won, I had like the post ready to go, and I'm like, all right, bet. The only thing I wanted to include was just a video of him speaking at the end, which I just recorded on my phone, like announcing his retirement from the Olympia. And I'm literally like in the crowd with Dan. I'm like, boom, good to go. It was like not even a full like 2 minutes after. It was like 90 seconds after like he won. All right, cool. It's uploading. It's like 86%. Phone just pauses, like getting absolutely no service. So I'm like, oh shit, you gotta be kidding me. All right, whatever. So I run out to the lobby. I'm trying to get service. Phone dies.
Bruh.
Damn.
GG.
I'm now,
GG's in the
I'm
chat.
now in full freaking disarray. So I jet back in. I told Dan, I'm like, Dan, call Alyssa right now. My phone's dead. See if she has the mobile battery charger. And he was like, all right, bet. So boom, I run back out and I'm asking everybody that was like out in the lobby for chargers. Like nobody has a charger. Like nobody behind the bar had a charger. Nobody. I'm like, all right, this is a shit show. Because I already know people are posting that out right now. And I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Carlos peers in the horizon. The guy's got the young LA pants with like all these like huge pockets on
I think these pants are called Hella Pockets or something.
Pulls out a big old battery charger, like all the cords you can imagine.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
all right, you're a gangster, sick. Light it up, going, have it plugged in. I see like the red bar pull up. And this shit is going so slow. Like, you gotta be kidding me, bro.
Every second is like a minute, dude.
So I go back. I finally get it to like turn on. Now my screen's on. And I go back to the Instagram page, hit upload again. It dies when it's uploading while it's plugged in.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like,
No.
how does this work? Like, what is going on? And Carlos doesn't get it. I don't get it. Joe's just like nervous and panicked. Carlos's girlfriend, because I'm nervous and panicked. Then Alyssa sees me and she was just like, I don't have the battery charger. I'm like, oh my God, this is, they won't even let me in past the door. She's like screaming through the doors. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So I leave it and I'm like, all right, be patient for like 2 minutes. Just let it charge. Finally got the post up. Boom. Good to go. I was like, oh my God, dude, that was the most stressful shit ever. Open up my text to like a million missed texts from the media team. Where's it at? Where's it at? Oh my God, shit. Buys and tries already fucking posted anyone. I'm like, oh my God. All right.
Jeez.
But yeah, we ended up getting it up like freaking like 8 minutes later. So it was the most stressful 8 minutes of my entire life.
It's funny to think about that because while all that was going on, I had just boarded my plane. I was on my plane watching.
Yeah, seriously.
I was watching Hani's live on Instagram, and I watched them announce Chris winning. So it's funny to think about, like, while I'm sitting here chilling on the plane, you're in full panic mode,
Full disarray.
trying to get this
Chaos.
I'm like, dude, that's it. That's the end of my career. Shit.
That's funny.
That was it.
That's good.
So yeah, full on panic mode. Disconnected that night. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a hell of a weekend. Had a lot of fun. Got to connect with a lot of cool athletes, and really just have a new appreciation for the impact of this brand, dude.
Mhm.
And I think like going back to the investment that these events really take from us, one of the things that is not measured by monetary compensation is like inspiration for your creative team. And I think as a leader, and I'm sure this goes from the top down as well, like how much would you pay to inspire your team to like bring their concept to the next level?
Mhm.
And like seeing inspiration from you, like I've never seen it before. Like I've never seen you be like that since I started here. That was so freaking cool to see, dude. Like that's so dope. And I think that little things like that move into the shoot that we did yesterday.
Yeah.
You know,
That
and
momentum.
you're more inspired. And then you're able to work together as a team a little bit better. So all in all, very, very successful trip. We freaking loved it. You guys are goats for supporting us. We appreciate you.
Is there any other good questions?
There really was a ton of questions about us coming to India, and I don't have the answer to it.
Really?
Yeah. I think we've gone to India before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look. Gemma also sent me that. India.
Yeah. We got to get out to India. Let's do a pod in India.
It's crazy.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of India questions. What?
Yeah.
Oh, what's the future after BOM? For the competing part of the brand. What?
Well, we can't talk about all that right now.
Yeah.
Put that on hold.
There was one question. Let me see the rest really quick. Now that Chris is retired, what is marketing and brand advertising going to look like moving forward?
What is what?
Now that Chris is retired, what is marketing and brand advertising going to look like going forward? We don't even use Chris that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's
right
the
now,
thing, you guys, like Chris obviously has been the face of the brand, and I think he very much will continue to be the face of the brand, but we can't just depend on Chris, right?
Yeah.
I don't think any of us would be good at our job at all if all we did was post Chris content.
Yeah.
Again, like what we said,
I mean,
when we
that would
started
be
this,
really easy, right? Like you said before.
literally just be coasting.
We can post Chris like sneezing and it'll get 1 million likes.
Literally, probably would. Like a cute sneeze.
You could pick an athlete and make
sneeze.
like the absolute hardest video ever, like Paramount motion picture.
Yeah.
And not get 1 million likes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I Chris is very much still involved with day-to-day operations.
He ain't going nowhere.
We still will be in content. I don't think he's going to get out of shape at all. I don't know him like that. I think that, an out of shape Chris would be hilarious. I'm kind of into it. Let's see how many of you guys want to see Chris out of shape. Like I'm like a little bit curious, but yeah, no, Chris is very much still involved. So yeah, he's.
And I don't think that. I mean, Chris retiring from the Olympia isn't Chris retiring from everything.
No,
right?
Chris is
I think
still.
this is just the next stage of
some
his
people
life.
Some people think he's retiring from life.
Yeah. People think he's just gonna go hide in a cave.
Yeah.
And just never be seen again. You know.
I think that's one of the things with like people that reach such a huge level of success so quick, and they have a kid, they find a good girl, and it's like, okay, dude, we created this perfect story. Let's put a bow on it, and that's it. Don't mess it up. He's done.
Yeah.
He guys has his entire life ahead of him. God knows what Chris is going to do. But I can tell you what, Chris can do whatever the heck he wants to do. It'll be successful. The guy's the hardest worker in the room. So yeah. As far as content, look back at our last, like, God knows how many posts before Olympia. Chris isn't in the content too much. You know, we very much utilize our athlete team. We do all sorts of shoots with local models. We even fly models out. So there's a lot that goes into the creative process, into our media team that has our media that we put onto our Raw page that has nothing to do with Chris. So we'll very much continue that. But what you can expect to see is higher quality productions, better quality stories. Well, I want to really get into the storytelling aspect of the brands. I want to get more into telling the owner stories in greater depth, and really making the owners just feel more human to our audience instead of feeling like
Yeah.
this esoteric being. So our esoteric beings. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things cooking right now in the kitchen, right? But they're only going to continue to get better as the team gets better and we grow stronger together.
Yep.
Yeah. And then real quick, I think Chris retiring just allows him to do more as far as content goes.
100%.
Because
100%.
the Olympia, I mean, 6 times is not, one time is not easy, right?
Yeah.
And we, as much as we love Chris and we love making content with him, like we never want to take away from that. We do our best to work around his schedule, you know? And so I think him not having that on his plate is going to allow him to be more a part of the creative process and not just so much announcement videos and things like that we've used them in the past, and really see another side of them and another side
100%.
of content that we haven't really reached yet.
100%.
And I look forward to that, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, look at like for you guys, if you didn't have email correspondence to keep up with, any other like side hobbies, if you didn't have the gym per se, and your entire job now is really like just making content. And I'm not saying this is Chris's job, but I'm just trying to like paint this picture that his Olympia prep and just maintaining his body year round, that is very, very time consuming.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
leaves very
And
little
limiting.
on the edge. Yeah, it leaves very like little to work with at the end of the day. So if anything, him being a competitor did make it, you know, more difficult as far as his schedule to make content with. But you know, he has a heck of a lot more time now that he's not competing. So if anything, you might even see more of Chris.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. All right, last question here because we have like 5 minutes left. How do you continue to keep that fire lit under your ass to push you forward? Do you ever feel unmotivated?
You know, I never feel unmotivated, and there's never a fire under my ass, quote unquote. Like I don't rely on any of that. I think that one of the things I struggle with as a kid, being OCD and being like a huge perfectionist, but also being a creative. I think that there are people that are just born to be creatives. I grew up in musical theater and playing acoustic guitar and like making short films with my friends. So those things I was never good at, but what I was really like naturally gifted, if you will, would be, you know, what would be a lot of people's downfall was like OCD and being a perfectionist and being like super anal. It's like my room had to be perfect. My laundry had to be filled the right kind of way. My toothbrush always had to be on the right hand side of my toothpaste. Otherwise I thought that like something bad would happen to me. So I'd like freak out. Not to say any of those things are healthy, but I very much like hold myself to a standard and to a routine. And I like for things to be done every single day the way that they should be done, quote unquote, cleanliness being one of them. So for me, it's like if I'm gifted the opportunity to be put into this position to lead a creative team, I want these things, I almost obsess over these things to be done perfectly. And then once you have that general understanding, like you start to check task off the calendar because your team's just pumping out content, but then you make tweaks. Well, it's like, okay, Mook's creative vision might be different than mine. Rob's creative vision might be different than mine. Who's to say that mine's better than either of theirs? So it's like tailoring what your team's creative vision is to also meet like the company's standard and kind of just giving them good guidance is huge. But if you're only depending on motivation to get you there, you're cooked.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah, seriously. Especially in this job because we work a lot.
Yeah.
And it never stops. I think there's
Yeah.
never a break. So you have to just work off of pure, just like, you just got to love it, honestly.
Yeah.
I think you get burnt out and unmotivated when you don't love what you do. And I think we all love what we do. So
100%.
it's really impossible to get burnt out.
Yeah.
Unless you're just in a poor work environment, then it's just not fun.
Yeah.
But work is fun.
Yeah. And we
got
have a really
got
good team.
3 or 4 minutes. So
We have a really good team. I think we all feed off each other's energy a lot of the times. Not to say that any of us don't come in here one day have a little less energy, but
Sure.
that's what we have bums for.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But
I always grab one out of Rob's fridge, and then I come back and I grab one out of Jack's fridge, and then I go to Hunter's and I grab one out of Hunter's fridge.
Office rat, dude, bottom feeder.
Yeah. And even on days that you come in, or you're dealing with things outside of work, you come into work and then something inspires you. A new product, a new label comes in, like a new protein that the entire world hasn't even tried yet, and you get to try it. Like, to me, like, those are the little things that to me is just so dope. Right? Getting to film products that no one has seen yet, no one even exists, that gives me like a high that like other things can't, so being a part of that, getting the opportunity and the privilege to be here is really dope to me. So
100%, dude.
Yeah.
I don't take that lightly, and I try to show up every day with the same work ethic,
100%. You do grind, bro.
Yeah.
You grind.
You grind like crazy.
I try, bro. I try.
Bro, but Wisconsin Big Rob, he brings the energies to the table.
Shout out to my dad.
And I also think, like, even on your very low days, and you brought this up, dude, a leader's like worst attribute could be that he thinks that he owns the whole show and he owns the success or the failure of the team. I very much think that failure needs to be planted on the leader, 100%. But winning is 100% the team. And seeing your team win has a way of like filling your cup up like nothing else, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Seeing you guys happy, seeing you guys inspired. I don't know if it's just like the type of, like, it's just a type of person or it's a conscious choice. But I draw so much happiness from giving and seeing positive, happy emotions on others' faces. And I think that as a leader, like, it almost feels selfish, but like I get a kick out of it. I freaking love it. And it like fills me up on days where I feel like I got absolutely nothing left. Because even if I got nothing left, don't get me wrong, I'm going to get shit done. I'm going to continue to work. But shit, there are some days where it's a hell of a lot easier when you guys are happy and you guys are kicking ass. Yeah. It makes this job so freaking rewarding.
Yeah,
100%.
All right,
that's it. There was no more questions. Every other question was about India. Like Jack said, we have no answers.
That's it. I don't know
itinerary.
What's going on with India, but you guys are obviously rock stars out in India. If you love Raw, great. Once we actually have answers to that question, we will get it back to you, man. We could do an entire podcast just answering questions about
India.
India. We'll figure it out, dude. We can do it. But thank you guys so much for all the love. It's amazing seeing all of you guys in Vegas. We are super, super excited for the future of this podcast. I hope you guys are liking that we are now filming these on FX3s.
Yep.
So a little bit higher quality. But shout out to Big Rob. Absolutely killed it in Vegas. Mook, you're a killer. There's something inside you that's brand new and cooking, but I think we're seeing a Mook V2. But yeah, love you guys and stick around for next week's episode.